This is the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. And we are live. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this episode of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. As you can see, I have a guest. I will present her properly in just a second. I want to say that whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on a podcast platform, you can look in the description of this episode and you'll see a few links where you can click in if you would like to support my work here on the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. All of your support, all of your backing, donations and whatnot is greatly appreciated. You're keeping this brother off the streets.
And so buy him a coffee.
Buy me a coffee. That's the coolest thing. Yeah, buy me a coffee. Yeah. Use that one. There's 3 different links, but use buy me a coffee.
I like buy me a coffee.
No, use whichever link is easiest for you. But buy me a coffee is a cool way to go. So enough of that. Here we are. As you guys can see, here's Tiffy. Tiffy is, I do believe you have the current record for the most number of appearances on my podcast.
Yeah, I do.
You've actually, you've come a step above just a guest. You've actually been a guest host.
Yes, I did. That was so much fun to be the host.
You've come on and you've had different subjects that you wanted to take up. We're going to do that today. I'm excited about it.
I do.
And I just want to say welcome back. You've been gone. You had a little I don't know, laryngitis or voice problems.
It started with excuse my voice. It started with I got pneumonia last September.
That's right. It started with pneumonia.
I got pneumonia, and it was in the middle of the pandemic, the first year. Everybody's still panicking. We're still like only a few months in. So the doctors wouldn't let anybody that had a respiratory problem come into the office.
That's right.
So I just sat and hacked and coughed, and I couldn't get seen by anybody.
I got to tell you, you had me. First I thought, this chick's got COVID.
Yeah.
And then at that time, especially, people were really uncertain about it.
Yeah.
Didn't know how serious it was.
People were terrified of me.
So I was worried about you, but then the relief came when you said it wasn't COVID, but it was.
Well, it turned out to be, now it's chronic laryngitis is what they're saying. And it's from, I basically just destroyed my larynx from all the coughing. Yeah. And
do you talk too much? Oh yeah, coughing.
Yeah, I do talk too much too, but the coughing, it was, I didn't get seen by the doctor until about January, so I was running with pneumonia.
You had a long period of coughing.
Oh, you had
me worried. First I thought it was COVID, then I thought it was the other C word.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I'm happy because I love you to death. Snoopy loves you to death. And I'm so glad that it's not it's a serious thing. Your voice has been messed up for almost a year.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that it wasn't so serious as to be something that was life-threatening.
Yes,
so
it's not life-threatening, but we don't know if it's reversible yet. So
because you sound kind of cool.
I know. Actually. I got a little Macy Gray thing going on.
You got this Macy Gray thing.
I think I can probably start like a sex talk.
Kim Carnes, Betty Davis. I bet you could sing the shit out of that song. She's Betty Davis eyes. Give me a couple notes.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that you're up and about and on your feet, and I'm glad to have you back on my podcast. But today it's your podcast. You came in with an interesting subject.
I came in with an interesting subject.
Tell us about it.
Well, the subject is, this actually started, I didn't want to say I just turned 40, but I turned 40 this year. And
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Milestone.
I made it this far. I turned 40, and on my birthday, which happens also to be International Women's Day, on my birthday.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I was born on International Women's Day. So, but on my birthday, this man mansplained to me.
Oh, the M word.
Oh, goddamn.
The M word.
He mansplained to me how to be poor.
Now, hold on.
Yeah, hold up.
Of all subjects, how to be poor.
How to be poor. I don't remember what brought up the topic. I really don't. Because the mansplaining just took my breath away. Because this man I've known since school.
Okay.
And while I was going to that school, I was homeless. I was living in my car. And he knew that. And only a few people knew.
This is here after you came here to Norway.
This was after here. I came to Norway.
Right.
I was homeless. I was living in my goddamn car. Yeah. And, but not just that, but I was living well.
Yeah.
Even though I was living in my car.
I remember you've talked about that a little bit, that it wasn't, of course, it's not a good situation, but, you were.
I was resourceful.
Right.
I made it work.
You found a way.
I found a way. I knew where I could take a shower.
Yeah.
I made friends with some convenience store workers, so I knew when they worked. So I knew when I can come in and get some hot water so I can cook my ramen noodles because I didn't have nothing to cook on, or, use their microwave or something. And I made friends with people, and I organized myself. I knew how to be poor. And this motherfucker's trying to explain to me how to be poor. So I remember that blew me away.
What a weird angle to mansplain from.
Yeah, it was a weird angle. And the fact that he knew that, and he knew that I was living okay. And I remember when we were going to school, he was like, I can't believe you can do this the way you do and still find the place to do your studies at a Wi-Fi station, or you know what I mean. Yeah. So,
you were homeless. You were going to school.
I was homeless and in college. No, I didn't have my son yet.
This was before.
This was before my son. It's my first year. Okay. So this was before my son. I'm homeless, but I'm figuring it out, and I'm getting A's and B's. I'm doing all right. And he had mentioned something to me about, wow, you're kicking ass. But then on my 40th birthday, he wants to mansplain to me the proper way to be poor and how to do it. So I got pissed. So what I decided to do was create my own study, and I wanted to do a study of a whole year, but obviously we haven't made it to my 40th.
You don't got a scientist on it.
I go because I got 2 bachelor's degrees. You don't get that much education without learning how to do a little bit of research.
You go, you smart little so and so.
And doing smart research, doing like qualitative method, quantitative method.
And isn't that and kind of on the serious tip, the whole thing with finding out what you're talking about before you open your mouth, isn't that something that's just kind of missing from society, specifically with mansplaining? A lot of these dudes, when they mansplain, they're talking from a platform that really doesn't exist. In other words, they don't have real knowledge behind what they're saying. It's just
not necessarily.
It's just this chauvinistic.
Not necessarily.
Where they think
Actually,
that they know more than you.
Like I said, I like to do my studies.
Tell us.
So I did some research, and first of all, the term mansplaining, it was added into the Oxford Dictionary in 2014.
Right. Fairly new.
And the actual definition of it is an explanation, typically by a man, usually by a man, to a woman in a patronizing and condescending way. Yeah. But it's not, men get mansplained too.
Sure,
so I want to go on the record right now and say that this is not going to be a man-bashing episode at all. This is a clinical study about this, okay? Because I love my
we're sticking to the facts. There's no agenda here.
There's no agenda here.
There's no feminist.
There's no feminism agenda. Yeah. It's about...
We're not sponsored by...
No.
We're
not sponsored by Gillette or nothing like that.
We're definitely not sponsored. I can tell you that right now. Okay?
We ain't sponsored.
Okay?
So that's what it is. And I know for a fact that men get mansplained too, because, let me tell you a story about that. My man, Andrew, came home. This happened like last year, but it's still stuck in my mind because it was so fascinating to me. My man came home from work and he was so pissed. He was so pissed off, and he proceeds to tell me. Now, he works in UX design, computer design, right?
What's it called? UX?
UX, user experience. Okay, so he makes things easier to use and more intuitive.
To dumb it down for me.
Yeah,
UX,
he makes the he puts the buttons on the screen where it would be more intuitive to put it and that kind of thing. Yeah. So, but that's his job. But he came home and he was pissed off because he said that this man at work was trying to explain to him how to do his job. Right. And he said, and this motherfucker, he doesn't even do UX, he's just a programmer. And I started laughing. And I said, honey, welcome to womanhood.
Yeah.
Welcome to womanhood. You just got mansplained. And he was so raging mad.
Well, it's very frustrating.
It is.
It is. It's like they're taking away they're taking away your point of view. They're taking away your ability to reason.
Well, the thing is, interruptions matter.
Absolutely.
It's linked to your social hierarchy, your power. If you interrupt somebody and tell them what to do,
it's a power move.
It's a power move. Yeah, and it's really, really obnoxious.
It's domination.
Right. But this word came to term. The mansplain came to term. It was inspired by Rebecca Solnit's essay. It was entitled "Men Explain Things to Me: Facts Didn't Get in the Way." Uh-huh. And it was a phenomenal essay. I read it. It was great. It basically, she tells a story about how she went to this party, and at this party, now she's a writer, and a man came to her and said, I heard you've read some books, or written some books. Sorry, I've heard you've written some books, and kind of said it in like talking to a 7-year-old, like, oh, show me your drawings.
He started that.
Yeah, so he started it. It was like very condescending. I heard you wrote some books. And he said, tell me about them. So she told him about one. I can't exactly remember what the book was about, but he started saying, oh, you know what? A great book just come out on the same subject, and proceeds to explain to her this book. Her friend walks by and says, that's her book. She's the author of the book. He's explaining her book to her. And it took somebody to say 3 or 4 times to him, that's her book, before he stopped.
So it just didn't register.
It didn't register. He felt like he needed to explain to her about this book.
So can I extrapolate then and think that it's probably in general common for mansplainers to not even be aware they're doing it? Or is it a conscious power move?
This is a question, and this is actually the question at the end of my my whole study here.
I jumped the gun.
You jumped the gun. That's actually the question that's left in the air.
Okay.
So you jumped the gun on that one. But but mansplaining, it's like mansplaining didn't start in 2008. You know what I mean? This has been going on for centuries and centuries. And let me ask you for an example. Like we talked about your motorcycle that you had back in Chicago.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. When you bought that motorcycle, did you buy it brand new?
No, it was used.
It was used, but it was still, it's in great shape. It's in great shape, a nice momotorcycle. Did you tell
Honda Shadow.
Okay.
750.
There you go. See, already what I'm not saying you're man. No. You're not mansplaining to me.
Okay, yeah.
You're doing exactly what you would do to a boy. When you told your boys, I bought this motorcycle, what kind of comments and questions did they ask you?
Okay.
They ask you, is it a Honda?
So it'd be what kind, what size motor.
Yeah. Does it have a Hemi?
What color and things like that. Okay,
right,
yeah.
Right, so they'll be asking you about specs.
Yeah.
How fast does it go, man?
Things
Cool.
like that,
Can I
yeah.
ride it sometime? Ooh, can I touch it? Whatever. What kind of gas? That's the kind of questions. Now, let me tell you a story. We're gonna walk through a story that this happened.
I thought I was mansplaining.
No, you were mansplaining. No, you were.
My heart stopped.
No, you were talking to me like you would. It's a Honda 707.
Yeah.
You talked to him about the specs and how cool it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk you through, and it might be a long story, but
no, go ahead.
Let's talk about it now. I rode up in here on my little e-scooter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a cute little scooter. It's great because I don't have a car anymore. I had to turn in my car because it was a lease. Excuse me. It was an electric car, but it was a lease, right. And my lease ran out. Yeah. So I had to turn in my car, and I can't afford a new car. But my town's small, and so I figured I'd get me a little e-scooter, get me around town. So I wanted to buy this e-scooter. I'm gonna wash my throat because this is gonna be some
Wash
shit.
your throat, girlfriend.
Okay. Rinse it off. I called. I'm not going to call out this mansplainer because he's a man that's still in my life and I love him and I want him to be in my life, But this mansplaining actually hurt me so hard. I mean, I'm going through a grieving process over this. Truly, an actual grieving process. I went through, the whole anger and denial and all that.
Because this guy was someone you knew and cared about, right?
Somebody I know and love dearly.
Maybe you felt betrayed?
No, it's
disappointed that they were
because
capable.
I'm grieving that part of our relationship that we used to have where I thought he respected me and I thought he thought I was smart and I thought he thought I had something smart to say. Now I'm like, why does he even hang out with me if he thinks I'm this dumb? But let me walk you through the story. So I'm going to buy this e-scooter because it's going to help me get around town easier, save me some time. It saves me an hour in time to get to work, because
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, right? But I didn't quite have enough money to buy this thing. Now I called my man, and I said, dude, homeboy, I'm going to call him Chip.
Let's call him Chip.
Let's call him Chip. I'm calling my homeboy.
Chip, that's a great name for a mansplainer.
Because I don't want to call him out, but I called Chip.
I hate to generalize, but Chip is a good name
Chip is a good name for a mansplainer. Okay, let's call him Chip. So I called Chip and I said, Chip, I found this cool e-scooter. It's going to save me at least 2 hours every day, and then I can spend more time with my son and
make your life a lot
make
easier.
my life easier. And I want to buy it this month because school starts this month, and it really make all this life easier. I said, "Can I borrow 1,000 kroner? I'm off by 1,000. I got most of the money. Can I borrow 1,000?
It's about $100.
About $100, right? And he knows I borrowed money from him before. He knows I'm good for him.
Sure.
He knows I'm going to pay him on payday.
Sure,
not a problem. So you know what he asked me?
What did he ask you? What did Chip say?
Chip said, and I can't because I don't have that voice, but he said, "Are you sure?" And he said it in that tone, like the tone I give my son when he's like trying to do his math problem, and he goes, 6 times 6 is 30, and I'll go, "Are you sure?" Like to check your answer. So that already talking to me like a child.
And you're a grown ass woman.
I'm a grown ass woman.
And you hear somebody with that tone of voice.
Are you sure?
Understand that would be a little.
So already my asshole puckered up a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I puckered up a little bit. I'm like, what is this tone?
It's a picture.
So the next thing he says, first I said, yes. Yes, I am sure, is what I said. Yeah. Yes, I'm sure. He goes, well, I read in the Oslo newspaper.
Oh, boy.
Right? Did you read in the Oslo newspaper about these bikes? And I finished the headline for him. Now, this should indicate to him that, yes, I have read this article. Yeah, I read it. Yeah. So I said, yeah, I heard about it. You know, all these e-scooters are just laying around town, and Oslo is thinking about not allowing people to ride these things after 5 p.m. Yeah. But I live in Porsgrunn. I told him, I live in Porsgrunn. Porsgrunn is not Oslo.
It's right.
Oslo is a metropolis. I live like with horses and cows and shit. We're not leaving.
You take 2 steps out of downtown Porsgrunn, you're out in the sticks. Mm-hmm. It's a big difference. It's not Oslo.
It's not Oslo. So these bikes aren't littering our streets.
Right.
So this hasn't been a problem. Right. So, okay. So, but then the next question he gives me, and this is the one that stabbed me. This hurt me. He said, what if it rains? Now, do you know why that hurt me so bad? It's because this man knows, you know, I've been on the earth 40 years. Right. 27 of those years, I lived in the thunder and lightning storm capital of the world.
Right.
I was also homeless. I lived the what if it rains lifestyle. He thought,
you got a plan. You got a plan, I would imagine.
This motherfucker actually believed that maybe she didn't consider when she bought a vehicle that has no roof and no walls about what if it rains. He thought that I didn't already consider that, that he had to ask that question for me to start thinking about it.
Like a mother to a 6-year-old child doing math homework.
What if it rains, he says. I said, I don't know, Chip. Maybe do the thing that, you know, even fucking dormice and dung beetles know what to do. I find shelter, Chip. Yeah. That's when I said, I'm getting mad now. So now I'm in the anger phase. Because first I was in denial. My asshole puckered up with the, are you sure? I'm like,
going through that cycle of...
This is not going to be a mansplain. But then he said, what if it rains?
From denial to anger.
What if it rains? Jesus Christ. Even mice know what to do with it rain. So I got mad. So I told him, I'll find shelter or I'll leave the damn thing at home. You know, women have the capacity to, you know, look outside the fucking window.
Last time I observed, absolutely.
Right. Okay. So I thought maybe this conversation, hopefully this manslaughtering of mansplaining is going to be done. But he says to me then, he goes, well, you know, summer's almost over. You're not going to have much time to ride it. Now, Chip bought a fucking boat in Norway, okay? He bought a boat in Norway for 150,000 kroner. You know how many rides he gets every year in the summer's almost over season? Probably like 15 rides.
And then depending on the size of the boat and the motor and all that, he may not even get much use of it in the summertime because it gets pretty doggone windy out on the Norwegian coast.
But he wants
to talk to
you about... He wants to talk to me about I'm wasting money because summer's almost over. But I told him, I said, well, Chip, you know, I did read in the specs and it turns out that the engine in the bike does not explode at New Year's Eve. Right. You know, I can ride it again next year when the snow melts. Did you know that?
Pumpkin at midnight.
It doesn't turn into pumpkin. I can ride. I'll still get money out of it next year, Chip. Yeah. You know. So, but then
you're probably pretty pissed by this time.
I'm shaking at this point. Yeah. I'm in disbelief. Yeah. And when
because he's just taking away all of your adulthood and decision making abilities. And
he's talking to me like I'm smashing some tambourine and drooling on myself somewhere. So, and I had mentioned, I said, me and Liam, my son, Liam, we're going to share this because sometimes he wants to go to his friend's house, and if he wants to go take the bus, he's got to change buses. It takes him about an hour to get there. But on the scooter, it's a 15-minute ride up to his friend's house. So I said, we're going to share it though. But that's all I said. I said, me and Liam are going to share it. And he goes, how are you going to share it? Now, I don't know about you, but I learned how to share things when I was 4. How am I going to share it? So this time I'm raging mad and I'm shaking. And when I'm super mad, I turn to jokes because I want to take down the tension. So I said, well, you know, I'll just throw him on my back like a papusa. Yeah. You know, I'm trying to make a joke out of it. And I'm thinking maybe this breaks the tension and he's going to stop the mansplaining. And you know what he says to me? Dead serious. He goes, Tiffany, that's illegal. Like I didn't know.
Serious. He didn't catch
Dead serious. He thought that was a real suggestion from me.
He still thought you were this grown ass woman incapable of making a smart decision.
Yeah, and I'm putting my own son in danger by throwing him on my back on electrics. I'm like, get the fuck. So I said, stop it, man. Just stop it. I said, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. I didn't need it. End the conversation. How was your day? I'm trying to change the subject. I'm done. I'm like, done. I said, I'm sick of this mansplaining. Yeah. And I said the word. I said the monster out loud. I called his name. Yeah. I said, I'm sick of this mansplaining. And he says, I'm not mansplaining. And I cut his ass off again. And do you know why I cut his ass off? because every woman out there that's watching this on YouTube, every woman out there listening out here, she knows the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
Just like every black person. Let me put it this way. Every black person knows the end of this sentence. I'm not racist because I have
there you go, a black friend.
A black friend. Yeah. So women know the end of this sentence too, just like black folk know the end of that. I wasn't mansplaining. I was just making sure. It's either that one or I was just playing devil's advocate. It's always one of the two. Now, first of all, did anybody ask you for any role play?
Right.
Did anybody ask you to play devil's advocate? Did we even discuss playing devil's advocate?
Right.
When he asked me, "Are you sure?" Did I say, "Not quite"? Can we play devil's advocate so I can get a better idea?
But I think a lot of guys who mansplain, they jump to that devil's advocate thing. Hey, I'm just trying to have a discussion. I just want to make sure that you're. I think that's what it is. They get caught and they're like, okay, how do I get out of this?
You said that again. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Now, when you got that motorcycle.
Yeah.
Did men ask you, but what if it rains, man?
No, not a single question.
No, they didn't feel the need to just make sure for you. Just make sure that you
They trusted that I made the right decision in buying that piece of equipment that I wanted for my use.
Yeah. You might have to get insurance, man. Did you ever think about insurance? Did they ask you about
questions like that?
Not a goddamn question.
And P.S. I didn't have insurance.
Boom, shakalaka. Did they say, because Chicago's windy, they say, well, summer's almost over, man. Have you considered?
No concerns.
So they didn't have to just make sure for you.
Right.
So why do men have to just make sure for women? There's a study on that, John.
I want to hear, there's been a lot of speculation as to why men do it. I want to hear what you found out from the experts. Let's spit some facts now.
Yeah, let me see. Okay, here it is.
Because it's a phenomenal thing to observe when it's happening.
Right.
I can never seem to figure out what drives men to do that, other than this. You have male privilege, more specifically white male privilege, and it's a very comfortable thing to use if you are a white male. And maybe they just like the feeling of power, of control.
Yeah.
They have to exercise it. I don't know. But what do the experts say?
Well, the experts say, I looked at Psychology Today, which is a very good psychological.
Reputable.
Very reputable. Yep. And because what mansplaining kind of is men intervening.
Yes.
Right? It's an intervention. Yeah. It is an intervention. And just like, okay, and then let's use the word intervention. If you say you saw Chip, we're just going to use Chip again, but you saw Chip really, really drunk one time at a wedding, right?
Yeah.
How sure are you right then and there that he's absolutely an alcoholic and he needs an intervention?
Yeah, I wouldn't draw that conclusion.
You wouldn't draw that conclusion, right?
Because I would just see Chip having a good time at a wedding, and maybe had a few too many drinks.
But then, like 3 months later, you bump into him again, and now it's at somebody's 50th birthday party, and he's really drunk again. Do you think that, okay, now it's time to call an intervention right now?
No, I still wouldn't even question whether he has a problem or not.
Right.
Again, I would, from those two instances, in the context in which I would have experienced it, I would have just thought Chip is... I mean, I wouldn't have thought anything. Chip is at a party or whatever.
He's at a party,
he's
right?
drinking.
So you're not at least, because what this experts say is in order for a person to have the intuition, to the need to intervene in somebody's life, they have to be at least, now if they're one of those people that don't have impulse control, they have to be at least 60% sure. Right? You have to be at least 60% sure this guy is absolutely an alcoholic. Like, okay, so you got to see.
About right.
Yeah, you got to be at least 60%. But most people, to go to that far, have to be between 75 and 80% sure.
Right.
Right. So if you don't have impulse control problems, you got to be at least. So that means coming into a conversation when a man has to feel he's already explained it to you. He's already 80%, 75 to 80% sure.
That's pretty amazing.
That the woman have no idea what she's talking about without knowing anything about her experience, without knowing anything about her past, just walking into a conversation. Already assumes 80%.
And there's that
she has no fucking idea.
That ingrained sense of superiority and privilege that I was talking about.
And it's
ingrained.
It's ingrained. Yeah. It's ingrained. So, and that's why.
Sorry, Chip.
Sorry,
it's ingrained.
Chip. And that's why I was grieving. Because even though as much as Chip knew about me, like he's known me for years, even though as much as he still was 80% sure that I didn't know what to do if it rains.
Friend, yeah.
So that's why my heart, and I am honestly grieving. Like,
I totally get it, and I'm drawing a lot of parallels. And I think I've spoken about this before. I think I've spoken to you about this before, how since I've been doing my podcast and like last summer when I was talking a lot about racism and inequality and inequity in America, I had friends who got pissed at me because how dare John bring that, and these are friends that I've had in my life for 15, 20 years.
I remember you talking about.
And it crushed me. I've basically been walking around being friends, close friends in some cases, with people who are not of the mindset that I thought they were, and it hurts. It's a grieving process.
And
I draw that parallel. So when you say you're grieving because of what Chip, the way Chip treated you, I get it totally. Totally get it.
Yeah, and so I mean, we've kissed and made up for all intents and purposes.
But you probably still are a little.
But now, now I don't think I can come to him for help anymore.
Well, there you go. It's left a stain.
It's left a stain on my heart.
You can forgive and forget. Well, you can forgive, but forgetting might be a little too much to ask.
Right now, for sure. Right, but I know, like for example, he bought a boat, like I told you, and when he bought the boat, I wanted to be his first mate. I like riding on boats, but I wanted to learn how to tie the knots, right? Yeah. So, but I have the capability of going on YouTube. Looking up a YouTube video and learning how to do the knots. But I knew Chip is a Boy Scout. He was an Eagle Scout. He knows how to do the knots. So I asked him instead because I thought that would be a great bonding moment. Right. It's more fun to learn with a friend that you can ask questions to. Yeah. But I guess maybe in asking him that, he thinks that I'm incapable of finding things out for myself. So that's why I'm grieving. So right now I'm in the depression stage. I mean, I have cried this out. And I'm hoping that with this conversation, you guys can kick me into the acceptance and you and your listeners can comment in it. But we do have to realize that, like I said, this is not man bashing. A lot of men don't know that they're mansplaining. Right. They really don't, because it's so instinctual that they feel. They're already 80% sure the woman in front of them don't know what they're doing. So it's an instinctual. It's ingrained to intervene. So here it is for any man. Gotta rinse it off again. For any man who, first of all, if you're super defensive right now about this topic, then you probably are a mansplainer. Now, if you're interested in listening to what I got to say here, then you're an ally and you want to quit, and you now you know. And because
it's possible to be a mansplainer, but you want to recover.
You want to recover, because
you can be an ally.
You can be an ally.
You can turn it around.
Okay? Everybody can overcome something.
Stay with us, Chip.
Adapt, overcome, improvise.
Stay with us, Chip.
Stay with us, Chip. So here it is. So for all the men out there, this is going to help, I think, because I'm trying. For all the men out there who don't know if they're mansplaining, before you open your mouth, okay, and you feel like you're going to explain anything, you're going to ask yourself this list of questions. Yeah. And question number one is the very, very most important question. Question number one, before you start explaining something to a woman, ask yourself, did anybody fucking ask you?
Yeah. Isn't that a great question?
Did anybody fucking ask you?
That is so often overlooked. Did anybody ask you?
Were we even looking in your general direction? So I got a story about this. I got plenty of stories, because that was another study that, like I said, I started a study when I turned 40. I wanted to see how often I got mansplained. Oh. And up until now, I did the math.
Mansplainometer.
A mansplainometer, right? So I took a journal and everything. I wrote it down, and it turns out I get mansplained 3.6 times a week, right?
That's actually lower than I thought.
Well, I thought it was like, damn, that's crazy. But the average woman, I looked it up. The average woman gets mansplained at work. This is only at work, not at home, not with no Chip at home, right? Okay, because we're not counting that. But at work, they get mansplained 6 times per week on average. Mansplaining.
Can you imagine how tiring that must be?
Yeah. Like, imagine you, John. Imagine you, like, you are a beefy guy, right? You know you're a beefy guy. Yeah. Okay. You got. I look at
protein overskewed.
I look at the sleeves on your T-shirt, and I feel genuine sadness for them, because I know when you take that T-shirt off, them arm sleeve holes are as floppy as my vagina. You know what I mean? They're just stretched out. I know they're looking sad. So you're a beefy guy, but imagine 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Some random stranger tells you how to work out, and they're skinny, or they, and they tell you 6 times per week for years. We're not talking about this just happens once.
See, and when you say, and just to put it in perspective, people, you might have some young cat who thinks he knows everything at the gym. So that type of, somebody overstepping their boundaries about training and nutrition and strength and all that stuff happens to me maybe 6 times a decade. But I can remember almost every time it happened.
Right. Because
then flash over to the, cut over to the woman who is mansplaining on average 6 times a week. And then ask yourself, how tiring must that be?
Yeah, mentally exhausting.
That has to be exhausting.
It is.
That has to be frustrating. That has to do something with their self-confidence at some point.
Because like I was going to say, you're a beefy guy, but if somebody kept telling you,
I would be like,
did you skip leg day, dude? Or did you skip leg day? And then pretty soon, you'll start getting body dysmorphia.
Right,
I mean, this does real damage.
Start wearing long sleeves in the summertime, never wear shorts.
Yeah. This is why women have such a strong reaction to mansplaining, because it's a trauma response. It's a trauma response because mansplaining is also a tool that abusive men use to keep the woman down. Like, I'll tell you the story about that. I had an ex, and I'm not going to hide his name. His name's Derek. Fuck that dude, right? Let me tell you a story about Derek and this car ride, okay? Because he traumatized me so much that I now physically cannot drive a car with a man in it. I can't. I won't. The man has to drive. And this is why. We were going on a road trip one time through the mountains, up over to Haukeli and through all that stuff. But I'm loading up the trunk. I'm putting things in the trunk. And Derek goes, well, there's some pollen on the windshield. You're going to want to wash that windshield. And I said, okay. Okay, I'll get to it. I haven't seen the windshield. I'm just, let me put this shit in the car first and let me sort it out because I'm driving,
Right.
So, and I'm trying to do my check, but he's pointing things out all the way. Did you check your real? I haven't gotten that far yet. Did you check if your blinkers?
So he's going through a pre-flight.
He's going through a pre-flight with me, and I'm already, now he's got me up on this,
right.
And then so I get in the car, and we driving down a little bit. Oh yeah, I think I wrote this shit down too. This was it. The first thing he did was he leans over, gets in my way, and he flips my sun visor down for me because the sun was, I was driving like this because the sun was my eye. So he flips it like I didn't know to flip down my sun visor. Derek. But the thing is, the sun visor only blocked up here because I'm 5'1". I knew it wasn't going to work. That's why I didn't flip it, bro.
Right.
I don't need your help. And so I, took it and flipped it back and gave him a look like, you're in my fucking sight. I'm trying to drive. Don't fuck with the driver. So then I'm driving a little bit, and then my shoulders start hurting because I got my steering wheel a little bit up like that.
Yeah.
He leans over me, and he takes my steering wheel and adjusts it down. No. Now it's smushing my titties, right? Because I got tickle bitties, right?
Check the video.
So
if you guys are just listening, you're missing a little imagery here. There you go.
So now I got the steering wheel. I can't turn it, so I got my titties all up in it.
But how long had you guys been together at this point?
God, only 2 months. 2 months.
Okay, so this is early in the relationship.
Oh, God.
When he's supposed to be on best behavior.
He's supposed
to be trying to prove that okay, and he's already doing this.
I think he's trying to prove that he's the man. He's already trying to establish dominance in the relationship.
Because men in relationships, like they sneak the mansplaining into control.
They do.
But this guy was early on.
He was early on it, and he was hard on it, very hard on it. So now it's mushing my titties, so I give him that look again.
Yeah.
And I flipped it back up. I said, I'm fine, right? So, and then, of course, as we're driving, he'll speed up, slow down, whatever, and all this shit. And it's driving me fucking crazy. I know how to drive this car. I'm a man. Yeah. But because now I'm frustrated, I am making mistakes.
Right.
I did forget to put my blinker on because I'm just in my head.
You're mad, you're nervous, you're wondering what else is he going to do. Yeah.
So this is what happened now. Now we're about ready to go down Haukeli, right? And we're only about, right now, we're going down the hill. We're about ready to go down the mountain. But we're only probably about 1.5 degree angle or whatever. Yeah. So I'm just cruising a little bit. And then I know around the corner, that's when, I need to downshift, right?
This is a famous mountainside out west in Norway. For those who don't know Haukeli, it's
beautiful for skiing and everything.
Oh gosh, it's beautiful, but it can be tricky.
It can be tricky.
It's a little steep. It's a little.
But I drive like a grandma, so I'm not like.
Well, and again, you're a grown ass woman.
I'm a grown ass woman.
You've been driving.
I've been driving. My son needs me home, and it gets snowy up there,
Right.
So but I'm thinking, okay, when I get around the corner, I'm going to downshift. But I all of a sudden hear.
Oh, don't tell me. Oh, yeah, Derek.
And then not only that, but he says to me, "You got to push the clutch, stupid." He's got his hand on my, now, John, when you're driving.
They'd have found a dead body on Hercules.
That's what I'm saying. When you're driving the car, would you allow to have a man all up on your stick?
Never.
Just grinding your shit while you're driving? Never. Would that happen to any man?
I can't imagine a guy doing that to me. No.
So I swat his fucking hand away. I put that thing in down gear, and now I'm mad. Now I'm gonna drive like he does, which is when he does that rage driving. You know, men do that rage driving. Now they gotta drive too fast and hit that curve. And I did that. And when we got down to the bottom of the hill, when I parked it, I pulled that handbrake, ripped it around. I scared God into his life, okay? And I said, if you're such a fucking expert, you drive. So I threw the keys at him, and I get in the passenger seat. I ripped him out. I'm like, you driving the rest of the way, motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
So we're driving. After about 10 minutes, he made a mistake. I made sure to comment on it just one time, right?
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, shut up. And then we get one more mistake. He forgot.
That's a bad phrase to insert into a relationship. Shut up. That's a bad phrase.
Especially on 2 months in. He says, shut up. So we go around the corner, and then he forgot to put on his blinker. And I said, the blinkers work, right?
Yeah.
And he screamed at me, and he goes, stop that. It's fucking annoying.
Well.
And I said, isn't it, Derek?
Well.
Isn't it?
Well.
Yeah. Yeah. But it still didn't he didn't learn. I mean, I had to break up with his ass. I couldn't take it. But because while we were going up there...
Is this a white dude?
Of course it's a white dude. He's fucking Canadian.
Don't say of course. You said Derek now. I don't know too many white dudes named Derek. Seriously.
Really? Okay, yeah.
I had to ask.
He's Canadian.
He's Canadian?
Canadian? So, yeah, he's Canadian. But then while we were up there, then the same day... Same day. I don't even need a book for this
I'm sorry I distracted with my stupid questions, but I've been sitting here for the last 10 minutes wondering, is Derek a brother?
He's not a brother.
Okay.
No, he's a white Canadian. So anyway, we had to go and get some, because we're going to a party and we're getting lots of beer. But then we got to walk, because we had been drinking now, so we're not going to take the car.
Right,
but we're going to walk with the beers because we had a beer run.
Yeah.
But we got to walk about 1 kilometer. So I got 2 bags, and I got to lift it like this. Yeah. I'm lifting it, walking around. And then, about a 1/2 kilometer, I'm like, Derek, I got to put these things down. My arms hurt. Yeah. My biceps hurt. He goes, why do your biceps hurt? I said, well, I'm carrying these fucking beers. He looks at me. He goes, well, stupid. Just let your arms hang. You don't have to use your biceps, right? And I said, well, Derek, I'm not as tall as you. And he goes, what does height have to do with grip strength? I said, nothing, but it does have something to do with carrying the bags, because I'm 5'1", he's 6'1".
What's wrong with this guy?
So I said, he says, just let your arms hang. I said, all right, bro. So I let my arms hang. You know what happened?
I can imagine. I bet.
The grocery bags just down.
I bet that didn't last too long.
Beers just falling everywhere. And I turned around, and I had nothing left in the bags. And I looked at him and said, you're right. It's much lighter now. Thanks. And I just walked. I had enough of it. I broke up with his ass that day.
Now that right there is a classic example. I would say that's a classic example of a man who somewhere along the line, he was manipulated by this thing in society that is ingrained that says that the man is superior.
I guess.
The man makes the decisions. The women are weaker, not only physically, but also mentally and in their decision-making process. He sounds like he should have been a character on Mad Men from the 50s or something.
It was so wild.
But the funny thing is he's not alone. I think there's a lot of dudes out there.
There's so many, and they do it to other men too.
Sure.
They do it to other men. You
kind of touched on it. There's an allyship to be had between black men and women. You call it mansplaining, and it happens to black men. You get a black man, and I'm speaking specifically about black men. I know it also happens with black women, but I can only speak from my experience. As a black man who has done what I've done in the business world here in Norway, and done things that step a little bit outside of your typical black immigrant.
Right.
And there's a lot of people here up through the years and recently who feel the need to open. And again, back to what you said before, did anybody even ask you? People feel the need to open their mouth about what I should do, how I should handle a situation, what I should have said in that interview. And it's like,
oh my God.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Would you say this? Would you say this to a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white Norwegian man?
No.
So that mansplaining thing that women experience, and let's call it whitesplaining.
It is, I've heard that term. I haven't studied it though.
But I think it's very, and I haven't studied it. I've only lived it.
Yeah.
But I hear.
Preach. Preach.
But I hear so many similarities, and I don't think people whitesplain or mansplain 100% of the time with full knowledge that they're doing it.
No.
It is an ingrained thing in society.
Which takes us back to, like, how do they know? Because the way to change something, you can't change something you don't acknowledge.
Right.
So you have to be aware. Am I mansplaining? Ask yourself. Have a little insight. So like I said, let's go back to that. Question number 1 was, did anybody even fucking ask you? Did anybody say, Chip, explain this shit to me? No. Then I got a story about that. I was sitting, one of my girlfriends came from Florida. She came visiting here to Norway, and we're sitting at a cafe, and we're talking about her garden. She has a home in Florida.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, we're going to plant some mango trees and avocado trees and all this stuff. And this man came to our table to explain to her why you can't grow avocado trees in Norway. Well, we weren't talking about Norway. Make sure you know what they're doing. Why did you feel the need to come? Did anybody fucking ask you? No. So that's it. Question number 2. Ask yourself, do you have any letters behind your name on this topic? Are you an MD, JD? Do you have a PhD, an LMNOP? Do you have anything?
But they spend a lot of time on the internet.
Oh, yes.
Come on, man. They talk to a guy. My brother's cousin's uncle.
They listen to Joe Rogan's podcast.
But you know what? That's where a lot of so-called facts are coming from. Hey, I heard it on this podcast, or hey, I read it on Reddit.
That's why I do my research before I open my fucking mouth.
There you go.
So, but yeah, do you have any letters behind your name on this topic? Are you an expert in your field about this?
Yeah.
Okay, if you are, that's great.
Sure,
that's fine.
But you probably aren't.
But then go to number 3 and ask yourself: did you check if she had letters behind her name on this topic? There was a famous mansplaination that happened. It went viral, where this man was explaining something about space to a female astronaut. You know what I mean? And he goes, and he asked her, "What the fuck do you know about it?" And then all she did was send a picture of her on the fucking space shuttle. And it was like,
I've seen people. I think I've talked about this before. Snoopy is in general a badass, but one thing that she does that's impressive is her carpentry skills.
Oh yeah.
And there's not many women who have a higher level of carpentry skills, but when she says that she does, or especially when you see the work that she's done, for example, that deck out there, I don't know if you noticed, that's a new deck. Snoop built that earlier this summer. She did that. That's her.
Yeah.
But the way guys will try to mansplain her about how you should do this, how you should do that, and it's just...
It's frustrating. So you ask yourself, does she have, if she had... She's
the expert, you are not, but because you're a man, you're going to sit there and try.
Yeah. So then also ask yourself, if she were a man with
would you do the same? Yeah,
would you say the same with the same experience? Would you automatically assume she already... would this be something she should already know?
And there's that ingrained thing in society.
Right. Yeah. If it's something she should already know with all that, then don't explain it to her. She probably already knows, right? So would most dudes with her education experience already know this? That was question number 4. Question number 5. Is your explanation going to add any value or improve or save her life in any way? Like, for example, is she currently right now looking down the barrel of a gun to see if it's loaded?
Right.
Go ahead and explain. That's not mansplaining.
Right.
That's life-saving shit.
That's life-saving. Yeah.
That's life-saving.
That's good advice.
That's good advice. So you're not mansplaining. Go for it. You're going to save her life. But or you just being a dick for being a dick. For example, I'm sitting with, last year, I was doing my last year of college, and I was also helping my son do his homework at the same time. So we're sitting at the library, and so
swing that mic towards me a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Then it'll get...
that's better. He asked me, Mom, I can't remember, how do you calculate the area of a rectangle? And I said, oh, sweetie, it's length by width. And this man come up and he says, actually, it's base times height, which is the same.
It's the same thing.
But all he did he add value to that? No, all he did was ruin my son's faith in my knowledge to help him through with his homework. He made me look stupid in front of my son.
And you can go back to the first question, which is, did anybody even
fucking ask you? Nobody asked you. So, and then also the last one is, just because it worked for you, does it mean that she's in the same situation where it will work for her? Like with the example with the garbage or the grocery bags. Just because you can hang your arms and walk that way, does she have the same?
A lot of men will plug their circumstances into the woman's life and expect it to fit.
Right. It doesn't. It doesn't fit their situation.
No.
So don't mansplain her. She knows her situation. She knows what to do if it rains.
You know what I think the most important of those points, those questions, is the first one. Did anybody even ask you? What is it that brings these men to feel that their interjection is wanted or is necessary or can be beneficial?
That's one that I haven't. That's what I was saying. That's one of the questions.
I wonder if it's just simply put that ingrained idea that men are superior.
This is a theory that I have, actually, because I also studied a little bit on that.
Yeah.
So in 1859, during the Industrial Revolution, I'm smacking.
You're going back now.
I'm going history on this too. I do my research, so I know what to do if it rains, Chip.
Well,
I figured it out, Chip.
Well, say amen, church.
I did my research, bro. Okay, anyway, so I did my research. But in 1859, so during the Industrial Revolution, there were people that became like nouveau riche.
Yeah,
there's people suddenly, all these poor people are getting some money and they're building up on stuff. So in 1859, I don't know the author, but in England, they wrote a book called The Habits of Good Society. Okay. And I got a screenshot of it because it was a good post. In it, the habits of, no, that's some Goya. That's adobo. I was looking from adobo. So during the Industrial Revolution, so the middle class starts expanding. And they made these etiquette manuals to teach these new rich people like how to have social graces. Just because you have money now doesn't mean you're the boss.
Right.
And so there was in this, it's called the Handbook of Etiquette for Ladies and Gentlemen. The man who makes too much of his peculiar excellencies, who attempts to engross conversation with the one topic he's strong in, who having traveled is always telling you what to do on that continent. Now, this was written in 1859, okay? So it says that who being a great man in any line puts himself prominently forward, condescends, talks loud, or asserts his privileges is a vulgar man, be he king, Kaiser, or cobbler.
She said vulgar.
Vulgar. I didn't write this.
Be he king?
Be he king, Kaiser, or cobbler. Whether you're making shoes.
No matter your status.
If you think you know better than somebody else.
Vulgar.
You are a vulgar
Say
man.
it again.
Vulgar.
You are vulgar.
Hashtag vulgar.
And this is in 1859. That is a very interesting thing to come out during those days. When you had your fiffy, fancy, rich people kind of running things in society.
Right.
But that information is out there in 1859.
In 1859, they knew this mansplaining shit is not nice. Stop it. You know. So, like I said, mansplaining's been going around forever and ever. But here's the question, because like I said, we have a couple questions in the air. We're not really sure I'm not really sure because I haven't gone deep into the psychology. There is probably an answer. I just haven't found it.
But it opens the door to a great conversation.
Yes, it opens the door to a great conversation. It opens the door
to some deeper thought, and people need to jump in the comments section here and talk about this.
I would like that.
Let's get
and
a
not only that,
going.
but if any of these men out there were offended by anything I have to say, I would like them to come on your show, and I would like a rebuttal. I would not really a rebuttal that's angry, but like and
that's important to say. Yeah.
If you know for a fact you're a mansplainer, come on the show and tell us why you do it and why you feel it's necessary.
And that's important to say.
I want to learn.
And to qualify that statement by saying, and I say this all the time on my podcast, I'm not afraid to offend or upset people. The only thing about that whole process that bothers me is if there is no dialogue afterwards. Yeah. Don't walk away mad if you hear us say something that touches you in a way that you don't like.
Yeah.
Open your mouth and let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
And if we're wrong, we'll say we're wrong and we'll come to a new agreement.
Like I said, I do the scientific method. And scientific method is I'll have a hypothesis until somebody proves me wrong. And if somebody proves me wrong with evidence,
the door to that dialogue.
I'll accept that.
It opens the door to that dialogue through which we can possibly learn something new.
Right. And that's all this is about. This is not about bashing or anything. But I am.
But you are speaking truth.
I'm speaking truth because, like I said, it's trauma to women because we get it so much. There's some women that it's true trauma because they've been in that abusive relationship. So how do we stop it? Now, this is something that I've been thinking about. How do we stop the mansplaining or at least slow it down?
Do you feel that microphone is blocking your face too much?
I'm fine with it. Nobody needs to see my face. I can talk like this. What's up? But yeah, so where do I start? Oh, how to make it stop.
Technical difficulties, and now we're back. Now you guys can see Tiffy a little better. There you go. Isn't she cute?
So the question was, before that interruption, the question was, how do we make it stop? Because we still make it stop. Yeah. Of course, I'm sure there's experts that have more understanding of it, but in the meanwhile, it's traumatizing women.
Yes.
In a true, real, like I said,
I'm with you on that word.
I cannot. This has stopped me from driving in a car with any men in it.
That is a proper use of the word trauma. I mean, yes.
It's
absolutely.
PTSD.
Yes.
So that's why women react so strongly to it. And sometimes So that's from our perspective. But how do we make it stop? Well, about 5 years ago, I remember that I was on the dating scene, and dick pics were like everywhere. Yeah. You couldn't go if you had single on your thing. I got dick pics. They would slam me with a dick pic before they even said hello. Sliding in my DMs, boom, wiener. And then it was so goddamn prevalent. And I'm like, oh,
I never understood that. What are they looking for?
I don't know. And they were like awful. But now, I was talking to a girlfriend about 3 or 4 months ago, and she was on the dating scene, and she goes, you know what? Dick pics aren't really a thing anymore. And that means that women somehow had stopped the dick pics. And how did it, not stop it completely, she said that that's a lot less dick pics, in the dating scene. And what happened was women made people aware of it. There was hashtag dick pics. We made fun of dick pics on, there was websites devoted to, like, whenever you get a dick pic, you send that dick pic and then you rate the dick pics and, public shaming and all, whatever we did, hashtags and stuff. We made people aware of it and made people know that we're laughing at you. We don't like it. It's stupid. Stop it. And I think that hashtag mansplaining needs to be the next thing that we go on and let them know we are not having it anymore. Like, with Chip, I had it out with him. Did he get it, though? Did he understand? Yeah.
He did.
That's why I said we kissed and made up, because I was like, I don't know if you understand.
That's right.
How small you made it. Yeah, we're good now.
Yeah.
Because that's why he's a dude that I will never let go of in my life.
What about Derek, though? Did he get it?
Oh, I kicked his ass out the road. I threw
his black ass. Oh, no, wait, he's like a white Canadian.
He was a white Canadian. I kicked the black right off him.
I have never heard of a white dude from Canada named Derek. I almost don't believe you.
It's Derek. If I said it was Leroy, would that be more believable?
Yes. Not to generalize, but yes.
He was Derek. Yeah. So yeah, but we have to make people fully aware that we have to call it out.
It is a thing. It is a source of a lot of trauma, and it's irritating.
It's not just irritating. It's traumatizing. It's
traumatizing.
Fucking traumatizing.
Yeah.
Just like white-splaining to you, and just like if somebody kept telling you how to eat and what you're doing, when you know you're doing what's right for you.
Exactly.
That would give you body dysmorphia. It would fuck you up. And so when guys say, God, she's crazy, maybe you're making her fucking crazy.
Right.
Stop telling her what to do before. Just have a little faith in her. That was my discussion with Chip. I said, that's what I'm grieving. I'm grieving the part of our relationship where I thought you had faith in me.
What was his response?
Oh, he hugged me and he was so sorry.
So he totally rolled over?
He totally rolled over. Well, not totally. I don't want to say rolled over, but he
understood where you were
He understood.
coming from.
He sat down and listened. He listened.
See, I'll venture to say that I think most men, when they are, and again, I believe a lot of men do this mansplaining and they don't realize they're doing it. But I believe that there's a big handful of men who, when it is pointed out to them, they do understand what they've been doing, but they still won't admit it. Right. They still won't change. They will try to explain it away. Well, I was just trying to help.
I was just making sure. I was just playing devil's advocate. Those are always the answers. Or
they'll try to turn it into some chivalrous thing that they were trying to I don't know, prove their worthiness as a I'm here for you
as
I'm
a protector.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, and I think that was in his role. He's got a protector role on me.
But again, I think that's BS excuses. I think they know exactly what they did, but they're going to these classic excuses to try and wipe it away.
To try to wipe it, because if the end of their sentence is I was just making sure, or I was just playing devil's advocate, they absolutely knew that they were over explaining.
Absolutely.
They absolutely knew. Because first of all, ain't nobody asked you for role play, okay? And role play, if you're going to role play, you can make money off of that. I know women that get like, $2 an hour to do some role play, bring on a costume. But ain't nobody asked you to role play. Save that role playing for your OnlyFans page.
OnlyFans / Tiffy / OnlyFans or OnlyFans / Tiffy dot.
I don't know.
No, but again, if men would use, and I think it's the same for anybody who gets caught doing something that they know they're not supposed to. You talk about people being canceled and whatnot. I think the best defense for being canceled, or the best defense when you're caught mansplaining or you're caught doing anything wrong, is to not defend it.
Yeah.
Just, gosh, you know what?
I fucked up. And and that's what Chip did. He goes, you know what? I fucked up. I'm sorry. I did not realize how it would affect you. It doesn't take any mental gymnastics for a dude to understand that what he was doing was toxic and damaging. It was damaging, yeah.
You did that. So just take a deep breath and admit it.
And that's why I could forgive.
Forward acting differently. Change yourself.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Because this shit just happened last week. So, this whole,
recent?
It's very recent. Like I said, I'm still in the grieving process. Ooh. That's why I was hoping coming on this show, talking to you, you always make me feel better, John.
Well, thank you.
And not only that, but the comments that you get from your fans and stuff like that, from your listeners. I want to hear from your listeners. I need a little bit of help to kick me over from the depression stage into acceptance, so that I can go forward with my understanding of why men do it, so that I don't have that trauma.
People need to remember the reason for this podcast. First and foremost, it's a selfish reason. It's for me to get inspired, to get motivated. I'm trying to fix my life after losing my son. I'm trying to find a new way. I'm trying to find motivation and inspiration. But secondary, but a very close second, is I hope that the things that are talked about on this podcast can help you people who are watching and listening. Yeah. And I truly believe, I've had a couple of episodes about women who have experienced traumatic things from men. And those episodes always do well because we're talking about real issues, and people get engaged.
Yes.
So I want people to engage on this one and talk. And I guarantee you, some of the things that you've said here so far will help somebody.
Yeah.
It'll give somebody the strength maybe to, you talk about how you actually approached Chip, and now things are on their way to being better with your friendship.
Right.
That's going to inspire somebody who maybe has just been kind of taking it to now maybe go back and say to this friend or the guy they're in the relationship and say, hey, man, this is what you did to me. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I think that's going to inspire people to do that.
I think the first thing I did with Chip was I said, through all this mansplaining, do you even remember the question I actually asked you? Do you remember the question I asked him? You don't even remember, right? After all the mansplaining, it's such a gaslighting process.
You lose track of what the whole essence of
the question is. I asked him, John, the question I asked him was, can I borrow 1,000 kroner?
Can I borrow? There you go.
That was there's three answers. Oh, sorry. There's three answers you can give that. You can say, yes, I have the money. Here you go. Or, no, I don't have the money. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Or, yes, I have the money, but I don't like those things and don't want to give you the money. All three of those answers would have been acceptable. Not, are you sure? And then lead into a mansplaination. Just answer the actual
question.
That should be another one on my list. Ask yourself, is the shit that's coming out of your meaty mouth right now have anything to do with the question she actually asked you?
I can't believe I forgot what the question even was. But you go through all of this back and forth and around with BS that really doesn't address the issue. It's just him trying to verify his manliness or making
you feel small. Yeah, I know more than you.
And it's the ultimate gaslighting. It can make you, the one who asked the original question, forget what you actually asked.
Right. And not only that, but who the fuck was he to quiz what I do with my money? I'm not Britney Spears. I'm not in a conservatorship. Okay, I don't need somebody dealing. Yeah. It's my fucking money.
I ask my children what they're going to do with their money, and that's it. Yes. Because they're children.
They're children.
I could never think of asking another adult those kind of questions.
And he had to make sure that I was spending my money in the right way.
Just say yes, no, or I need to think about it.
We don't live together. We don't share no bills. We don't have anything that we, even when I come over and chill and spend the night, I bring my own fucking dinner. We have no finances together. Right. He has nothing to do with my finances. So why did he have to make sure?
His answer should have been, who am I to say what someone else should do? My answer would have been yes, no, or can I think about it?
Yeah.
All those questions and trying to qualify it and in all those ways that's classic mansplaining. That's classic gaslighting.
It was gaslighting, and that's why it broke my heart, shattered my heart.
That hurts.
And it actually has now changed our relationship, which is why I'm grieving, because now I don't know how to be in this relationship.
Do you think you'll learn though? Do you think?
Oh yeah. It's not the first time he's mansplaining me something, but this just cut me so deep because first of all, asking me all these questions, I used to be a mechanic. You think I can't buy something with wheels and figure it out, to know what kind I need for my purpose? That's what you did in the Army, wasn't it? Yeah. So I don't know what to do with. I don't know how to buy something that suits my purpose. It was so. Who the fuck are you to make sure?
So what's the remedy for mansplaining?
That's why I said the remedy. I think first of all, you got to call the monster by its name. Women, if you're getting mansplained at the time, and I know it's difficult to call it out at work because there's a professionalism there, but try not to get bowled over and use the M word. I know you're mansplaining. Cut them off. Don't let them get to
Make them aware of what they're doing.
Make them aware of what they're doing.
Sometimes it'll be a wake-up call for the man, and he will change.
It will.
Not all the time, but sometimes it will be a wake-up call.
And then when they inevitably go to the defense of, I wasn't mansplaining, finish the sentence for him. I know. You were just making sure, right? Or, I know. You were just playing devil's advocate, right? Yeah. Did I ask you to do that?
I see a lot of people in society will flip it and put the responsibility on the men and say, you guys just have to educate yourselves. What do you think of that?
I think that's incorrect. I think other women need to do what I did and really go into the history of it, why it happens, the psychology of it. So,
but don't you think we need a little bit of self-awareness? We men do need to just...
Men need self-awareness, and women need to be prepared. Prepared. Yeah. Women need to be prepared. That's what it is. We can sniff out the mansplaining.
But do you think there's women out there who don't really understand that maybe they've never had a definition put on this thing that they experience constantly?
Right. Which was why so
talking about it then will define it.
Why it was so phenomenal when Rebecca Solnit wrote that essay. She gave the
monster. How do you
monster.
spell her name so people spell it out?
Rebecca with two C's.
C's.
Solnit.
Check that out, people.
Check it out. The essay's called "Men Explain Things to Me." Facts didn't get in the way. It was written in 2008, and it became a phenomenon because she named the monster. It has been going on for centuries for women and stuff. We just didn't have a name for it.
I want to ask you before I forget, maybe you can take a screenshot of your notes and send that to me, and then when I put I can put some of that in the description with some links.
Okay.
To
I'll type it out though. It's a hot mess.
Yeah. If you could do that for me, because I think you're giving some good information that people really. It would be great if they could just click on a link and they go right into her work.
Yeah. I'll write an article on it. I've been doing so much study on this since March.
Again, it's a great topic, and I think there's not enough focus on things like that because it's things like mansplaining that poison our society to the point where we are as distant from one another as we are now. We have these different factions. You have the feminist movement, and then you have the men who are against it.
Right.
And I don't think that feminists and men who are against
they're called meninists.
I don't think they necessarily have to be so divided. If there was a light that was shined on the things that feminists stand for, I think a lot of these guys who are against it would actually be like, oh, wait a minute.
They're just defensive.
Exactly. They're just offended. Yeah.
They're offended and they're defensive.
Same thing with politically the right and left. Same thing with racial issues. Yeah. If people would just clearly define their standpoint so that the other side has no choice but to see the simplicity of it. Because there's nothing complex here.
It's nothing.
Doesn't it just boil down to human decency?
It does.
And if we could somehow shine a light on that basic element of human decency, I think we'd solve a lot of problems.
We would. I
think we'd solve mansplaining.
I think so.
I'm not saying we would eradicate it.
No,
but it wouldn't be the source of so much trauma for women as it is today.
It would be like how dick pics have kind of tapered off a little. It'll taper off a little bit, and then it won't be such a traumatic thing.
Cool? With a total side move here, but dick pics, if they invented, and who knows, maybe they will someday, if cameras, from a photo, if you were able to extract DNA from a photo and then figure out whose dick that is.
Well, you don't really need
publicly shame them.
There's aren't there little sign chips too? There's markings on photos so you can find out where the photo was taken. There's already information.
If you get down into the forensics of photos.
Yeah. They already have that.
But I'm saying, who has access to that? I'm saying if you get a dick pic, if you yourself could just take that picture and put it into some.
I'm pretty sure there are some programs out there.
Are there really?
Because I watched this. I watched this documentary. It was fascinating documentary on Netflix. It's called "Don't Fuck with Cats." Did you see that one?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well,
look that up
and watch it. But basically, it's about this sick fuck who was taking videos of him torturing cats. And on the internet, you can do anything on the internet.
Yeah,
but the number one rule is you don't fuck with cats on the internet. People love cats. They got kitty pictures and everything. So these home sleuths, I guess you want to say, tried to track this man down so they can bring him to justice. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating because the guy goes on to murder somebody too.
I can't find it.
Oh.
But you probably looked at it on a VPN. Do you use a VPN?
No, I watched it years ago, so maybe it's out of there. Yeah. But we'll find it again.
Speaking of cats, I saw a cool meme. It was a picture of a beautiful German Shepherd, standing in profile, looking very majestic, and it said, "Dogs may be man's best friend." ... And then at the bottom was this scraggly-looking cat showing a middle finger through with its paw, and it says, "But a cat will never tell the police where your drugs are."
That's right.
Great meme. Speaking of cats.
Yeah, speaking of cats.
Total side trip off of what we were talking about, but I had to put that out there.
Yeah, in order to stop it, I think, first of all, men need to have a little bit of insight and be honest with themselves.
Yes.
And stop
awareness.
themselves.
Awareness. Shine a light on it.
Take 5 second breath before you go and explain something and you think you need to. Take 5 seconds and go through this list of, did anybody fucking ask you first?
But why do dudes get so defensive? Why won't they go through that 5 second pause to think it through? Why do they refuse?
There's this need to feel superior and to establish
it's
establishing dominance. You got to establish dominance. And
I'm trying to remember the last time I felt the need to establish dominance, and I think it has to go back to when I was playing college football. In all seriousness, this whole thing with actively trying to establish dominance, I think, is one of the biggest signs of weakness that a man can have.
I think so. It does. It shows, for me, it shows a lot of fragility. Because,
Absolutely.
And this is, I want to come to that too, in the sense that I have followed you on the internet, on the social medias, on all that stuff, and never once have I ever seen you mansplain anybody. So there are men out there. I'm like a hashtag not all men. Not all men do this. There are lots of men that do not mansplain. There are lots of lovely men in my life.
For me, well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Am I a lovely man?
You are a lovely man.
I'm digging for compliments. but that's because I very strongly identify with there's a photograph out in my living room of my grandmother, my aunt, my mom's sister, and my mom. And there's only one person missing from that photo, and that's my great aunt, my grandmother's sister.
Yeah.
But those 3 women in that picture, they are the ones who made me the man that I am today.
Yeah.
They are the ones who taught me what I know about respecting people. And again, it boils down to something so basic as human decency and respect. They taught me that. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine raising my hands to a woman because I would be going against what they taught me. I couldn't imagine devaluing the opinions or the thoughts of a woman simply because she's a woman. When those 3 women were the ones who gave me my analytical way and my compassionate way.
And they proved to you that they could get the shit done.
So I'm wondering, is it because men have been raised to be men?
that chest pounding shit.
Yeah, maybe they had that father who was the 1950s Mad Men type.
Right, because at my generation, we were raised by boomers, and they had that mentality. And
we're the same generation. I'm on the higher end of
and I'm on the low end,
right? But we still were based. I don't know. I think I was just lucky to have such a great influence from the women in my family.
That's what it is. It's if men. I believe that if men have a strong female influence growing up,
that has a lot to say.
They have a little more respect about women can't get shit done. I seen my single mom, drag water down the street and whatever she got shit done.
Right.
And so this is another way to stop mansplaining. Is what we need to do as women is raise our sons be that female role
model. Start the trend.
Yeah. I'm a single mom, and my little boy respects women. He knows a woman can do just as much as a man can do. So we got to raise our boys better. And I have hope for the future.
Looking at his mother and the views that you have, I think
and not just the mother, but I'm talking about big mamas need to come in, aunties need to come in.
See, I had all that.
Best girlfriends, like if I got a best girlfriend and we raise each other's kids, bring the women in your life to raise.
About Jennifer,
yes.
I love her. Yeah, it's been a long time. She helped me quite a bit with my website when I was first starting out.
She's great. And
shout out to Jennifer.
Shout out to Jen. Love you. I miss you too.
I haven't spoken to her in over a year.
I haven't spoken to her in like a couple months too, but it's been COVID and all that. But so bring in. Don't be afraid to bring in other strong women.
Let your circle of influence be a trendsetter when it comes to these things and how boys are raised.
Yeah,
because you're going to dictate what kind of man they're going to be, and that starts from day one.
So I have hope for the future generation, but right now, for the time being, with the generation we have right now that was raised,
is it a lost?
It's not lost, because there are a lot. I mean,
these guys are stubborn.
They're stubborn. They are stubborn, but no.
They have no introspection. They don't know that they're doing anything
those are the
wrong.
Narcissists. There's no hope for those ones. Those are just the plain out narcissists. But if there's men out there,
we can write them off.
We can write them off.
They're not going to change
because they won't. They don't have the capacity.
But how many of them are in this pool of men who mansplain?
Well, they say 1% of the population is narcissists, like a full-on fucking narcissist. So if you got 100 men in front of you, you got one of them you can write them off.
Yeah, but among the mansplainers, don't you think there's a higher percentage than 1% of narcissists?
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. There's a lot more mansplainers.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if this is a lost cause.
It's not a lost cause. It's a lost cause for the narcissists. Just write them off. But I think guys like Chip, I think if the ones that do listen, Chip is a great listener.
Yeah.
If I get mad about something, he's like, all right, I'm sorry, let's talk about it.
He'll hear you.
He'll hear me out.
Yeah.
And he didn't see my perspective of it. And once he saw how that affected me, then he's like, I realize now that maybe my protectiveness is not protecting her, it's actually hurting her.
Right.
So now maybe he might change a little bit too. So there is hope for some mansplainers, probably a lot of them, probably the ones that don't know they're mansplaining, which is why they need to go. We'll post a list of questions that they need to ask, but did anybody fucking ask you?
That's my favorite one.
Did anybody fucking ask you?
Because that can cut off a lot of mansplaining if you just ask yourself that question.
Right there.
Wait a minute.
If she
nobody said I should say
and if
anything.
she did ask you, you're not mansplaining. Go for it.
Right. That's
share your knowledge.
Totally different situation, but I don't know. Men just jump over that part.
They jump over that part. They forget that. So question number one, if you don't remember any of the other questions, remember question number one. Did anybody fucking ask you?
Did anybody even ask you?
But I would really like to have, a self-proclaimed mansplainer or somebody that had realized they were a mansplainer, but after this podcast, or hadn't realized, but after this podcast, they think, what, maybe last time when I talked to my sister, maybe I was talking down to her, and maybe I'll have a little more insight. If I just want somebody else to come on this show and give a man's view of
I was going to say that's a great podcast to have a third person here, a guy.
Yeah.
Maybe someone who totally, I don't know. Are you thinking a mansplainer who wants to change, or a mansplainer who is just
anybody who wants to comment on this? Not one that.
The problem is,
I want the one that wants to change.
And the problem is finding that guy
that will admit it.
Yeah.
I don't know, because like I said, mansplaining is very a fragile part of the manhood. They're very, very fragile. So of course, admitting it is, when you're already fragile, is not. They don't have the bravery to say it.
I can't even get someone who leans to the right politically speaking to come on this podcast and debate me. I've been trying for months.
I'm not even looking for a debate, John. I want a discussion.
A discussion, yeah.
I want to learn from, what was it that triggered you? I want to hear
Debate
from
was
the
the
mouth.
wrong word. Discussion. But I can't. I think people are, and to me that is a testament to the shakiness of your beliefs. If you're not even willing, you talk all that yin yang on social media, but when someone offers you a mic and a camera and you can speak to thousands, but you won't do it, that tells me that you don't really believe in your own BS.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of people out there. Again, I believe there are men who are chauvinist pigs, and they know it, and they know it's wrong, but they don't have the balls to change.
Yeah.
Because that change will signify weakness.
But there are men out there that are protectively mansplaining, like Chip, who didn't realize what they were doing were mansplaining, and maybe they heard this podcast and go, I did that once. Fuck, I didn't realize how much I hurt her.
That'd be a great
And that would be great to come in, because I want to know. I want to pick their brain. I want to know, dude, what was it that triggered you to say that? Was it out of protectiveness? I can respect that, and then can you hear me about what it does to our self-worth and how we feel? Because Chip only got mansplained once 1 year ago, he's a white guy. So I get mansplained 3 points.
It'd be funny if Derek is a white guy, but if Chip was a black kid, now that would be. I'm sorry, people. No, that'd be.
I would like to see a black Chip.
Oh, Chip.
But anyway, if there's any men out there that are brave enough to admit I was wrong, or admit,
come on the show,
or anybody that wants to stand their ground and go, no,
or at least jump in the comments.
When you
section.
have the knowledge, you should share your knowledge at every chance you get.
I agree so much, and again, to me, it's a testament to the shakiness of the foundation of your standpoint. If you're not willing to discuss it,
yeah. So please, if you
come in the comment section, great. But I think it's a much more profitable experience, both for the viewers and listeners, but also for the potential guests if they come on a microphone and
let's learn something together. I want to learn something together, because like I said, I'm not here to bash hashtag not all men, and actually hashtag not most men. There's just a lot of them. It's like a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. There's too many of them. And
so
again, it's causing too much trauma. It's causing too much division.
It is. And so that's why we don't work
together. We need less
anymore.
of that stuff.
We need less of that stuff. But anyway, that was what I studied so far, and I really want to continue this study. I find it fascinating.
It really is
like I said, I went all the way back to the Industrial Revolution. I want to know more history of it, how people have tried to stop it.
You should put that into an ebook.
Dude, I'm ready.
With your sense of humor and the content, the information itself, I think that'd be a good read.
No, I'd love to do it.
To put your observations into an ebook. It doesn't have to be long.
No, it doesn't.
100 pages. 50,
That's it.
50 to 100 pages.
Yeah. But I mean, I can just even write an article about it. Just a really quick article, and just link to all the studies that I read.
I'll post it on my blog.
I'd be happy to write an article.
JohnAllenPod.com, JohnAllenPod.com.
I'll be happy to write an article. I mean, because I did study. It's not like I'm sitting here just bashing on men. So,
men need bashing. No, but I say that in all seriousness. People who are doing wrong, and when I say men, I'm talking about those who are doing wrong, but people in general who are doing wrong need bashing. There's a lot of toxic bullshit women out there too.
Yeah, yes.
Women, it's not hands off, when it comes to holding women to accountability.
Women mansplain too.
Women mansplain too. I think a lot of women, and I may catch some flack for this, but I think there's a lot of women out there, not a majority, but a lot of women out there who hide behind the feminist movement. They see themselves as somewhat untouchable, and then they think they can say and do whatever the heck they want.
Oh, yeah,
because if you attack me, then you're an anti-feminist.
Yeah.
They're hiding behind that, and being a feminist doesn't give you a license to be a dick.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. So I understand what you're saying, because there are some women that
I believe in holding people accountable for what they say.
Absolutely.
And I believe in challenging in a formal and in a clean discussional format. I believe in challenging people who I disagree with.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be ugly.
It doesn't have to be ugly, because if you open your mind a little bit, you might be able to change the world one person at a time, one opinion at a time.
Well, yeah, and you can also learn something. Mm-hmm. How about that?
Yeah, and exactly. You can get a little insight.
Don't be afraid to learn something, folks.
Exactly, and that's what this whole thing was about. So
it's a great topic.
Yes. So I welcome any comments, and if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to this. podcast because it's so much fun. I know my voice is awful.
No, I think you sound great.
Is it okay?
Great. Yeah. You have this Kim Carnes, Betty Davis eyes voice.
Gotcha.
I told you before, I think you could sing the shit out of that song right now.
I can't hit any pitches. So, but anyway, sorry about my voice. But yeah, come on the show, or at least comment and share this. Share this with your girlfriends. Share this with the dude that mansplained you last week.
Let's put some awareness on the topic.
Let's put some mansplaining. Let's put some explanation on the topic. Let's get some awareness on it. But yeah, send it, post it, retweet it, so that people can hear and maybe change a little bit, learn a little bit, or come back for a rebuttal.
Start with your own inner circle, your own circle of friends, your own circle of contact.
Start a discussion.
Start there and let the discussion spread.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you make it happen. You don't have to think big. Well, I'm sorry, think big, but you don't have that thought process doesn't have to be complicated. It's really through a series of discussions that you can make these kind of changes among the people that you have close contact with. It's not that hard.
No, it's not that hard.
So mansplaining is, it's a disease. It's a toxic disease. It causes trauma, and let's do something about it.
Let's do something about it. Thank you for bringing me on this show to talk about this, because I called you up and I said, I got something on my heart.
Well, I've been waiting patiently, taking into consideration the issue with your voice. But I've been missing you on the show.
I've been missing you.
People have been asking, what about Tiffy?
I miss the Tiffy Tuesdays. Those were so fun.
Yeah, that's right, Tiffy Tuesdays. But you're back, and you always have a place here. And in fact, the next time you come, I will probably have a much bigger and better studio. Because on the other side of that curtain there, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to make this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, because I was wondering what was behind the curtain there. Yeah. I'm like, oh, the wizard.
No, so I'll open it. Ignore the man behind the curtain. Ignore the man in front of the curtain.
I thought I was going to get punked or something.
No, the next time you come, I will probably have that, depending on the timing of it all. I got to get my operation in September, but probably I will have that in use. And then that's going to open up for more of a panel conversation where I can have two. I mean, I fit two guests in here. I've had three of us in here before. I've done that before, but I have some topics in mind where I think it would be good to have 3, 4, 5 different people in here
and have a proper discussion. Yeah. I think so. So
because of everyone's interest and support, I see the value in investing in making that happen, having a bigger studio, more microphones, and more good content for you people out there. So thank you so much, and thank you, Tiffany, for contributing to the good content today.
Thank you so much for having me once again, John.
Check out everything on johnallenpod.com. Hopefully Tiffy will write an article that'll kind of sum up what we talked about today. I'll be posting that there. Remember to check the description of this episode, and you'll see how you can contribute and support the work that I do on the Comin Home podcast.
Buy him a coffee, man.
Buy me a coffee. I like coffee. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye now.
That was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
And I do believe